Okay, so now we're going to talk about the extensions that are part of the American Studies 8 course for those of you teaching that. There is a scope and sequence for this course that you can click on from the title, and they identify for each unit the extensions that go along with different lesson sequences and different common instructional tasks. So most of the time you're doing the core common instructional tasks, but there's things that you can add, extensions that are optional for other students that are required for the American Studies 8 students. So you can see that, for example, there's a component to add to the stolen land common instructional task, the connection and how the Declaration of Independence deals with slavery is required for American Studies students. And then after the Fighting the War, the Revolutionary War Stories, CIT, there's an extension where students actually look at specifically by state what happened to slavery in each of those states to sort of see, how some are sort of entrenching slavery and expanding it, others are getting rid of it, and then you have the gradual emancipation in some states. And so seeing some of those specifics, students in U.S. History 8 don't do that. So, in addition, even though this is Unit 2, we're going to talk about it. There is the book study for Unit 2, which is by Erica Armstrong Dunbar. And there are lessons that you will use at the start to introduce the book study, and then at the end of the book study that focus on women's history and specifically how do we fill in the gaps for women's history when the women were enslaved and didn't leave many records behind. And there is an available reading guide for students that has questions to sort of target them. You don't have to require that they answer those questions, but they're certainly available. And then there is a project menu that you could use once or twice, where students get to choose a project they want to do to demonstrate their learning of the books. And so by clicking on the Unit 2 literature connection and the overview of lessons, you will get to all of that. I think it was 2 years ago when we first started implementing American Studies 8, Dr. Dunbar actually came and did a virtual interview with me. And so we're going to ask you to pause and watch this video with Dr. Dunbar to hear how she explains her goals in writing the book and her historiography that will really help you teach this book to students. So we're going to ask you to watch that video now, and then we will come back to talk about further implementation. As you watch the video, think about your key takeaways from the interview and what messages you might want to incorporate into your own teaching practices.